So the Chicago Sky, at this stage, like, first of all, they're an embarrassment. I think they are becoming an embarrassment to basketball. And I think at this stage, there is enough evidence to, again, the only people that know if whether these are intentional or not are them. But there is a pattern. There is a pattern of cheap shots for this team. Like, there is genuinely a pattern of them cheap shotting their rivals. They cheap shotted, obviously, Caitlin Clark in the first game of the year. That was like a grudge, quote unquote, grudge match. The first grudge match we saw was we saw Caitlin Clark cheap shot. We then saw a Caitlin Clark cheap shot multiple, I believe, today. And then we saw Breanna Stewart get cheap shot in her first possession of the game. We saw her get cheap shot in her first possession. We saw Caitlin Clark get cheap shot in garbage time. And look, this is one where I'm just like, I don't know when with this one here. And the only reason why I have some, like, why I'm thinking there might be malice in this is, if you guys didn't know, Caitlin Clark hit a 3 in Cardossa's when, well, Breanna Stewart steps foot on the floor. First possession, she gets hit. She gets clocked in the head by Kennedy Carter. Caitlin Clark just hit a circus shot over Camila Cardoso and runs back in dancing. The first play that happens. Like, you can't really see it from this angle, but Caitlin Clark gets, look, Michaela Onyenwere lands on the foot. Again, nothing happens, but like, in basketball, you don't throw your body into a contest. Like, best way to look at this, again, this can just be reckless play. This may or may not be intentional. But the fact that it's, and look, I'm not going to, again, Michaela Onyenwere, from what I've seen, doesn't seem to be one to rough up players. But, and maybe she was just being told you got to get harder out on contests and just jumped in. Players have done that. But like, first possession, Breanna Stewart cheap shotted this. But again, that's not here or there. The refs made the right call. It's a flagrant one. The refs made the complete right call on that play right there. So I don't necessarily think that is a, like, the flagrant one is the right call there. But it is one of those things where it's like, if you believe that was intentional, I'm not going to say you're wrong. I'm not going to say you're wrong for believing that's intentional. Like, it could well have been. I don't think it was, but it could well have been intentional. And then you had this play right here. And this was obviously intentional. This was obviously intentional. So Caitlin Clark is coming down. Like, they turn the ball over. Caitlin Clark gets the ball. She's pushing. Diamond Shields. Like, she literally, look at the direct path Diamond Shields takes. You see, does she go for the ball? I'm going to turn off my camera right here. I'm going to turn off my camera so you guys can see. Does she go for the ball? Hell no. That is, look, not only does she go for the back, she goes through her knee. She goes through her knee as well. Like, that is so obvious. And you want to know what happened after this play? You see Caitlin Clark? Caitlin Clark gets up and sprints to the bench. Like, it's not on camera. Caitlin Clark, she's there trying to help up Caitlin Clark. Of course, that's what you're going to do if you don't want to make this look intentional. Caitlin Clark jumps up and sprints. She sprints to the bench just to get away from it all. And then, obviously, Caitlin Clark hits the free throws for her career high. And by the way, this is down 30. You're down 30 when you do this, or 25 points. You're down 25. I'm sorry, like, that's a cheap shot. I don't care what anyone says. That is a cheap shot. Whether it's intent, the only thing I will say is give some grace is that there's nothing I've seen to say that there's much malice in Diamond Shields, except for the fact that she, like, body checked. Look, actually, no. To be fair, one of them, the block and foul, I won't say body check. I'm not going that far. But then body checked Caitlin Clark off the ball. The possession before this, Caitlin Clark got body checked off the ball by Diamond Shields. The next possession gets plowed through her back. So if the previous possession didn't happen, maybe you give some leeway to Diamond to Shields. But I don't know if you can. I really don't know if you can right now with just what has happened. And I think if this was, again, an isolated incident, you wouldn't say much. And again, the Chicago Sky aren't cheap-shotting everybody. They're not the bad boy Pistons against everybody. But they cheap-shot him. They smacked Breanna Stewart in the face in her first possession against her old team. They didn't even let her get to the end of the first quarter. In the first possession Breanna Stewart played, she was cheap-shotted. In the first possession, and if you guys agree with this, subscribe. We're trying to hit 20... If we can hit 22.9k by the time I wake up tomorrow, that's ridiculous, but we might do it. But, I'm sorry, they were trying to hurt Caitlin Clark. They were. And the best way you can look at this is they were trying to rough her up. That is the best way that you can look at this, is that not necessarily they were trying to hurt her, that they were trying to rough her up. We've seen plenty of situations where they hit her hard, and there are hard hits where there are no where there are like where it's just a hard hit. There's no chance of hurting somebody. These were not hard hits with no chance of hurting people. They just weren't. I hate to say this. They were like, again, the Michaela Onyenwere one, you can just assume that it's reckless play. You can just assume, I'll give her the benefit of the doubt that it's reckless play. But Diamond DeShields, the previous possession, body checked her off the ball. And then, no, you can't accidentally do what Diamond DeShields did. You just can't. She had the chance to get in front. So instead she leaned behind, went through, hit her with this part of her arm. The only excuse you would say for hitting her in behind is if she's going for a wraparound steal. No, she hits her with the arm as well. She did everything wrong. And the funny thing is that when this happened, you were down 25 points. You were down 25 points. It was a frustration foul. You were sick of getting cooked by Caitlin Clark, who ended up setting her career high on you guys. And Caitlin Clark, by the way, if you guys don't know what happened two possessions previously, Caitlin Clark had shot a 40-footer air ball, had stopped mid-fast break instead of going for the layup, dribbled out and threw this crazy behind the back. Caitlin Clark was toying with you. And in fairness, like, I don't mind the off-ball body check. No one's going to get hurt. That's you don't do this in my house. Like, it wasn't to her head. It was just like she tried to cut, body check. Like, it happens. No one's going to get hurt. It's a kind of statement being like, yeah, I'm here. And in fairness, getting her with something like that after Caitlin Clark taunting you guys is something. Like, that's something. Like, I don't mind some sort of get back, but you don't hit them in the back. Like, there are certain plays you don't make. Just player safety. Caitlin Clark has been hit in the back, nowhere near the ball, twice against the Chicago Sky. She's been hit twice. Breanna Stewart in her one game against the Sky, I don't know, Kennedy Carter got revenge by smacking her on the head. Therese Weatherspoon hyping it up. And again, the only reason that I will say the Michaela Onyenwere one, that I'd be scared there's malice, is that it was straight out of a timeout. I believe what you want on that one. I'm probably looking too far into this because maybe I'm judging them on what happened in the Mabry situation. Because Michaela Onyenwere hooped today. She's been hooping in the starting lineup, and there's nothing to say she is in any way a dirty player. And to be fair, there was nothing to say Diamond DeShields. Like, I like Diamond DeShields. The fact she's even able to get on the floor is absolutely crazy. Like, I like these players. But I don't know if it's the coaching. I think it has to be the coaching. Because you're trying to be the bad boy Pistons. Like, and there's no place for the bad boy Pistons in 2024. Simply put, there's not. There's no place for cheap shot artists in 2024. And I think there is enough evidence. Not obviously, the only people that will know if they are cheap shot artists or not are the Chicago Sky players. But there is enough evidence to believe that they are cheap shot artists. That's all I'm going to say. There is enough evidence to have the belief that they are cheap shot artists. And it's embarrassing. They went out so sad, and I'll talk about the double-doubles in a video later. They went out in embarrassingly bad fashion.